Dave and Corey from Open Box Athletics coming at you to talk about 22.1. Just got announced a few hours ago. We've been talking about it internally, trying to figure out the best way to have you guys tackle it. What we really like about this workout is that it's really friendly for both of our programs. Not only our OBA Fit program, but also our Collider program. It's going to be a really awesome entry point, not only for the people who are going to do it throughout the day, but also for the people who come to Friday Night Lights and want to join in the fun and enter into heats. Those heats are actually in my body right now. They're in as 15-minute heats, but they're actually going to be 20 minutes long. So you'll see that there's only 3 heats per hour. So sign up for those heats in Mind Body. Let's talk about the workout. So what we have is a 15-minute AMRAP of 3 wall walks, 12 dumbbell alternating snatches, and 15 box jump overs. So we've got some tips here for you guys. We're gonna have Corey tackle the first set of tips for wall walks.
Okay, cool. So 3 wall walks, super digestible. It's like Dave said, it's a good workout for both boot campers and CrossFitters. Couple differences that we built in terms of scaled, and then what needs to happen if you're doing RX. So we have taped the floor. It is now very definitive as to whether you completed the rep or not. Hands got to start on the front tape, and they got to finish on the back tape.
Yep.
Is that right? So we're not really looking at your chest. It's the way your hands travel and whether your feet are on the wall once you push off and go. But over time, in a 15-minute workout, you're going to have to do some things right. Otherwise, you're going to get very stuck on the floor. So we talked about tape. The outside tape is the one we're worried about for scaled. So we want everyone to start from the same place. The distance that somebody scaled travels up the wall, we're not as worried about. It's can we get everyone to start from a uniform position. So make sure when you get on the ground that you set your hands up in the right place, no matter what you're doing, whether it's scaled or RX. Staying tight is going to be critical. If your midline gets tired and you get really slumpy, you're making it very hard on your shoulders. And we never want this position anyway. So when we talk about staying tight, it's talking about really from the midline working out. Kind of bracing, kind of like we do in a hollow position, or anything that's abdominant. Staying tight is talking about getting flexed through your stomach. And then pace is going to be critical. If you rip this out the gate, you're going from a wall walk in right into a shoulder-heavy dumbbell snatch. You're going to run into some problems. So a good way to actually pace is to do some math. When you're laying on the floor, have an interval, see the clock, and say, hey, I'm going to go every 15 seconds, every 30 seconds, something that you can sustain over 15 minutes, because if you use all your gas in the first 4 minutes, you're going to have a very hard time after that. So pacing, even though you might feel good in the beginning, have some, pull back on the reins a little bit and pump the brakes so that you have gas throughout the whole thing.
And just to, kind of play off what Corey just said, you don't want to get to 10 minutes in and then start staring at the wall, or actually you're staring at the ground. Right, you don't want to be staring at the ground because you can't get yourself up that wall. You still have 5 more minutes of work to do. So talking about, one of the interesting things with this workout is that you're going straight from wall walks, which is really super shoulder intensive, into another, what could be shoulder intensive movement if you don't use your hips. So the key here from going from this movement to this movement is to not throw up that dumbbell 100% with just your upper body strength. You're going to want to use your legs, you're going to want to explode with your hips in order to help get that dumbbell into that overhead position. So another key that we're going to be looking for, this is not going to matter so much in the scale, but it will in the RX, is that both dumbbell heads have to be on the ground for the rep to count. So we see people kind of hit one end of the dumbbell on the ground and kind of go right back into that next rep. What we're going to be looking for if you're doing this workout as it's written is for both heads of the dumbbell to hit the ground at the same time, and then you're going to go into your next rep. The other thing that we're going to be looking for is how you're alternating your reps. A couple years ago, they got rid of the idea of being able to pass the dumbbell from one hand to the other at the top, over your head at the top of the rep. You can now do that, but what we're looking for is for you to finish that rep definitively before you make that pass. The best way to do that is to be already making your way back down before you make the pass. Don't make the pass up here and kind of like maybe get your arm locked out. Make sure you're in that definitively locked out position before you pass.
Yeah, a couple things on that too. If you're going to pass overhead, make sure you know what you're doing. You could miss, it could land on your head. That's why in class, and we do these a lot, Joey programs these a bunch, we always teach, know how to get from one side to the other, but when I show it, I've always shown that elbow reloads and kind of throw it across your chest as opposed to over your head. You can do that, but you better know what you're doing, because if you miss, you could land on your head. But it's funny to see this movement show up. I've always coached two things, right? Not to lose your tension when you're going to the ground. You gotta really stick your butt back and load each time, because you're gonna do so many reps. You might get away with it, but there's a chance that you could kind of blow your back up. And the other thing I've always taught is to get your hand out from under there. So know how to kind of get from right hand to left hand to right hand. You also don't want to go to the ground if you can avoid it. You kind of end up squatting twice when you don't need to. So every time we've coached this in class, ironically, I've always said, hey, load it to the chest and know how to get that hand out of there. Because when the bottom hand gets stuck or the top hand gets stuck, it's super annoying. So kind of know how to float from one side to the other. Yeah, this is interesting. So the box jump overs is definitely the element of this. A, because there's so many reps, and B, because it's the whole body. It's the element of this that's really going to jack you up in terms of your heart rate and your ability to do work tired. You're going to need 15 of them every time you get over there. What CrossFit decided to do now was to get rid of the rebounds. So what you can't do, in fact, forget the rebound. They don't even want a 2-foot landing right off the box. So even if you weren't going to bound back onto the box, they don't even want us landing on the floor with 2 feet. So that kind of changes the pace. And they did it on purpose because they found that people learned how to rebound a little too fast, and it started flooding into the affiliate. And some people that shouldn't be rebounding probably were for faster scores. So that you have to land with 2 feet on the box, but we're going to step off the box, which will slow it down, but plan for that. It's not even something I really mastered. I always 2 feet off the box too. And I think Tim and I and the coaches and all of you have got to kind of figure that out when we get in the gym. But it will slow it down. So from 2 feet, I got to step off. I got to get both feet to touch the ground, and then I can get 2 feet on the box again. So that'll be interesting for all of us. None of us are sure how that's going to play out. You get no credit for opening your hips in the box, so why would we, right? That extension sometimes used to be used for rebounding. Okay, I'll stand high on the box, and then I'll make my leap off and then get back up and stand up on the box. There's no value to that now. So staying low is actually to your benefit. Even though that's tough to do, sometimes we want to raise the diaphragm because we're trying to get air. If you can stay athletic and stay low on the box, do that. And then, as always, find a rhythm. If you're moving chaotically, if it's really janky and disjointed, you're exerting more energy than you need to. So part of finding a rhythm is slightly slowing down, although that sounds kind of counterintuitive.
So the other thing with not being able to rebound, and as you're stepping off, which is something you're going to have to find out for yourself and figure out which way makes sense for you, don't continuously step down the same exact way. What that's going to do is going to put a lot of pressure. Let's say you're continuously stepping down with your right foot forward first every single time. All that's going to do is add wear and tear to that right leg for that 15-minute period, and at some point it's going to catch up to you, either in the form of failing a rep, or it's starting to feel really, really janky, maybe leading to an injury. What we don't want is for you to just stick to one leg, one direction while you're stepping down. Make sure you mix that up, whether it's one round you go to the right every single time, the next round you go to the left, or you go back and forth alternating. Find something that works for you, but don't do 15 minutes exactly the same way every single round. So the last thing, so for RX, we've got a 50-pound and a 35-pound dumbbell, 24-inch and 20-inch box. For scaled, it's going to be choose your own adventure as far as we're concerned. If you're doing scaled and you actually are registered for the CrossFit Games Open, we will have those prescribed weights for you. You're here around 5:20-ish. That's when Joey's team is going to go off. So we really want to pack this place, make this place as chaotic and exciting as possible. Have a great week. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Night.
See you soon.
See you guys soon. See you guys tonight.